Hello and welcome to Lutherans Alive. My name is Gregory Held, and this is the program that brings you the story of Lutheran Christians and their ministries in southwestern Pennsylvania. Today we have a former Lutheran with us. Bud Longfellow is with us. Thanks for being here, Bud.
Thank you.
Appreciate having you here. Bud was originally, or at least in a previous life, a member of House of Prayer Lutheran Church.
True.
Hopewell Township, Aliquippa area, and is currently a member of Ingenwar United Methodist Church.
Correct.
Today, Bud, you're here to talk with us about employment, unemployment, helping folks to find their identity, their self-esteem, employment, and all that goes with that, with a program that's called Seekers, right?
That's correct.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, if you will, and how Seekers came to be, well, how that idea germinated for you.
I went to the University of Pittsburgh to get a degree in business with a couple of years of engineering there. Went on to get a master's at Case Western Reserve University in Cleveland,
Okay.
and have worked with engineering construction businesses and a number of businesses across the country. To one point, I was president of a $70 million business up in Milwaukee. Mm-hmm. So I have a fairly broad exposure, and I've traveled the world as well. And whenever I came back here and retired, semi-retired, I got involved in consulting with firms that are interested in helping to launch new technology into new business. Mm. And so this sort of exposed me to the university technologists and to all of the venture capital people and so on around town. And it sort of prepared me for the role that I now play.
Okay.
And that role basically was created about 8 years ago whenever I was asked by our ministers at Ingenwar United Methodist to start this program. We had been doing a little bit of networking because I at that point had been unemployed, and we embraced some other people in our church, and we developed the model that we ended up using in our Seekers group.
Okay.
The way that model works is that we set everyone around the table so that everyone can see the eyes of everyone else around the table, and every individual there is given the opportunity to tell us about their background, what their career has been, where they've been physically, what the goal is for their current job search, what are the parameters, and so on. And then everyone around the table will respond with network contacts, recommended companies to target, various resources that are available around town to help them in their search. Mm-hmm. And advice on maybe their own marketing plan, because when you're in a job-seeking role, you really have to have a pretty good idea of where you're going, what you're trying to achieve, and so on. Therefore, a good marketing plan for you incorporated. Mm-hmm. So essentially, that's what we do. The one thing that we've discovered that makes this the most rewarding thing is when you sit around this table, the people that are injured by this unemployment, their ego gets damaged to some extent. Mm-hmm. And everybody around the table is embracing them. They listen intently, they respond in love and support, and it's such a supportive thing that it just blows their mind away, and they enjoy it, and they come back. And we have people, after they've gone through a program, that are volunteering to facilitate other programs we've started.
Well, I'm sure that, as you say, when someone has gone through the loss of something as significant as a job, well, we've probably all heard, the stories that most of us tend to internalize that as our identity, mm-hmm. That job that we hold, and that's who we are.
Yes.
And when you lose that whole sense of a mooring, a base for your life, mm-hmm. is wiped away, is gone, and you've got to start all over again. It's interesting, here in Western Pennsylvania, we've gone through a lot of changes, I guess, over the last several decades in terms of the workforce and job opportunities, and it's been well documented. It's interesting to me, anyway, that the churches are often the places where that challenge is faced, that need is recognized, and something is done. In your case, it was a personal experience. You said you actually experienced the unemployment phenomenon yourself.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Was that for the short term, or?
It was a fairly short term. Mm-hmm.
Okay. But oftentimes it is when you experience those kind of things on a personal level that it gives you the insight and the wherewithal to carry that out to others, and
Yes.
and that others can learn from it and benefit from it as well.
That's right. And the other thing that you discover whenever you sit around this table and everyone is telling about themselves, they begin to bare their souls, and they'll share with us the frustrations they have with the whole process of job seeking. And so many of them don't know how to make a phone call, how to talk like you and I are talking, how to focus on getting 2 network leads in every conversation you have, so that you build a network, so that you have the opportunity to be able to make contacts into companies or get the support and network that will help you to be successful. Pittsburgh is a big, small town, and if you can network in Pittsburgh and make contacts to where you need to be, it's very helpful. We had an example where there was an individual seeking a position at Geneva College, and it happened that the position reported to the president, and the board of directors had to approve. And we happened to be able, because of our networking contacts, we lined up 3 members of the board of directors of Geneva College and had that individual in interviews with them prior to the interview for being hired. So that's the kind of thing that we try to do.
Yeah. Well, it really is an interesting balance, as you say. You know, we're a big, small town. That there are certainly ways where the place can be a place where you can get lost in it and not be able to find your way to the goals that you're setting or to the needs that you're trying to meet. But on the other hand, if you can make a few connections, or if you can find the right path or the helpful information that you need, it is possible. It is possible to make those connections.
Well, those connections come from a lot of ways. First of all, the people around the table provide a tremendous amount of support for these individuals. But we are very fortunate to have people within our church who have come to volunteer. They came, watched what we did. They said, we really like what you're doing. We'd like to be helpful and get involved. And so these facilitators, we have 5 of them in our church. And we have 3 other groups now across the area, each of which have 2 or 3 facilitators. And these are all volunteers. By the way, everything that we do has been totally free of any cost, either to the individual that's being benefited by this networking process and the companies that hire them or the search firms that are finding people. There is no cost to anyone. And so it's that that's also enabled us to branch out across the city.
In terms of your connection with the church, the fact that this has grown out of the church, can you say, is there a spiritual aspect to it? Is prayer a part of the meetings, or is it more just very practical, let's get down to brass tacks and get on with the job?
It's a very clearly defined program we have. We say hello, introduce them to the process, everybody that's there at the table, and typically there's always a newcomer or 2, or at one time this year we had 12 newcomers because of the conditions in this market right now. But in any event, each individual then goes through the process.
Okay. We are actually at the point where we need to take our first break from today's program, but we do appreciate you being here. If you'll stay with us, we'll be right back.
Okay.